In a lot of ways, Genji and Doomfist are very alike, but which one is better in which situations, and what happens in the 1 versus 1 matchup? We're going to be comparing these two mobility DPS heroes in today's video to help you kind of figure out which one you should be playing. So, Genji and Doomfist actually play pretty similar mechanically. They're both very high mobility DPS heroes that focus a lot on their abilities, more so than heroes like McCree or Soldier 76, who focus on their main weapon. But where they differ is what their role is and how they actually play the game. And that is going to be the deciding factor between which hero you should be playing in Overwatch. The most crucial difference, I think, is the style of play these two heroes face. Doomfist is more of a defensive hero, whereas Genji is more of an attack style hero. And let me explain why. It's very interesting. Doomfist has all of his abilities which enable him to engage. He can escape with them, but they aren't the best for escaping, and when they're all on cooldown, he's kind of dead in the water unless he's away from the enemy team. Genji has some defensive abilities in his kit. He can climb walls without any cooldowns, he can double jump, and he has his deflect as well, which means Genji is a better lone wolf who can dive into the enemy team, and Doomfist is someone who should stay with his team a lot more. You may think this is backwards because Doomfist's kit is more aggressive and Genji's is slightly more defensive, but that's not actually the case. With Doomfist's kit, you do so much better when you're with your team rather than in the enemy team. Sure, you can occasionally rocket punch into the enemy team to go for a kill, but you're better off when you're near your team getting healing by your tanks and your supports, because your rocket punch is not only an instant killer on a lot of people, but it's an excellent displacer as well that penetrates every shield except for Zarya's barrier. So when someone like Winston or Diva jumps on one of your supports, you don't need to instant kill them to really get them off your supports. You can use your rocket punch to knock them away and deal a lot of damage in the process. Plus, you win the 1v1 versus Winston and the 1v1 versus Diva if you play it right. However, I will say, when you're 1v1ing Diva, as like anyone, usually your team or the enemy team will come to the fight because Diva has so much shields and HP, it'll last very long. So just keep that in mind. You shouldn't be playing Doomfist like a lone wolf, or, as I like to call it, well, I'm sure you all know. You shouldn't be playing Doomfist as if you are someone with dash resets like Genji, as if you're someone who has some sort of defensive ability, because you don't have that. You have some shields, but let's be honest, those are very limited in capacity, and enemies can burn through your shields insanely quickly, and they're not going to keep you alive for very long. So what you should be doing is spending a majority of time with your supports and your team, and when the threat is dealt with that is imminent on your supports, you can then use your versatility to go on the assault a little bit more. Genji is the opposite. Here's what you're going to want to be doing as Genji. Genji is obviously, I'm sure we all know this, a dive hero that is meant to be in the enemy backline. He's meant to be begging for healing the all time, and he's bound to flame your Mercy because she's not giving him heals. That's what Genji is, and that's what Genji does. When you play Genji, you don't expect much from your team. You are playing a game that is basically like Duck Hunt, except the ducks are the enemy supports. And this is where the two are different. Genji is the style of hero that goes for easy targets, so you're obviously going to want to be looking for people that Genji counters. Low mobility heroes are usually a plus for Genji. Ana's, Zenyatta's, McCree's, somewhat Soldier 76, but he's more difficult. Heroes like these that really don't have a lot of mobility that you can kind of outplay and maneuver around are heroes you're going to want to use as Genji, whereas Doomfist is more of a brute force style hero. It's okay if they have mobility because you only need to land one punch to kill most of them, and furthermore, that punch is a lot more useful than just using it for insta-kills on squishies. Map and location on the map are really two other things you should be looking at when considering Genji versus Doomfist. Genji relies on a lot of health packs, whereas Doomfist relies more on sort of ambush locations where when an enemy pushes through, you punish them with a well-timed rocket punch. Doomfist is much better at punishing like this, but Genji is much better at reaching health packs, especially when there's vertical mobility that is required, because he has infinite vertical mobility, whereas Doomfist does not. He only has his rising uppercut. Also, we should look at what heroes Genji and Doomfist go well with. One that both of them do fantastic with is Zarya, but nobody doubted that. Those bubbles you put on Doomfist and Genji are insanely useful, but I will say this. Genji synergizes better with Zarya than Doomfist does, because like I said, Doomfist should not be jumping into the enemy team as if he were a Genji. Genji is the type of hero that has more mobility. He can't escape. He has defensive abilities which allow him to stay alive. So a Zarya bubble is useful for enabling him and keeping him alive that 2 extra seconds longer to get some swift strike resets or some deflect damage off or some other things. Whereas Doomfist, if he's playing with his team, you're not going to be getting as much charge from the Zarya bubble or as much usefulness off of it. Genji also synergizes very well with healers like Zenyatta and Ana for 2 reasons. Zenyatta can put his Orb of Harmony on him and keep healing him without actually having to aim on him, which is kind of difficult because Genji is going to be jumping around. Ana has a nano boost, which is great with Genji, and can also heal Genji from very far away. Granted, it will be somewhat difficult because, he'll be jumping around and swift striking and stuff, but it is possible. Now, here's where the things get a little bit more complicated. Doomfist is much better actually at defending both Zenyatta and Ana. Zenyatta and Ana are the 2 heroes I mentioned that are weak against divers because they don't have a lot of mobility. So if that is a problem, you should be running Doomfist. So defensively, he synergizes with these healers because he can defend them. Whereas offensively, Genji does better because he can play more aggressively when you have them. And that is something to keep in mind. What happens when you're running a Mercy and or a Lucio then? Mercy, I'd say, goes a little bit better definitely goes better with Doomfist because Doomfist will be with his team if you're playing the way I'm telling you, and Genji will be very far away, and that puts Mercy at a very big risk to go heal him. And then the same thing goes for Lucio. Lucio can heal Doomfist better because he's with his team, and his aura likely won't reach where Genji is at. So for the other healers, Doomfist is going to be a preferred pick. So overall, we have Doomfist that's more of a defensive hero and Genji that's more of an offensive hero. But both heroes are versatile enough to change up that role very quickly if need be. Hopefully the information I gave you was useful. If it was, be sure to leave a like down below. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to tell me that, and I will be seeing you guys all later. Be sure to check out my other video that wasn't weird. Just look at my thumbnails. You'll see one video that definitely stands out. It was great. It was probably the best game I've ever played, and everyone kind of enjoyed it. So be sure to check that out. I'll see you guys all later. Have a good one. Lone Hawk out.